and just kind of set the stage for maybe some advice and get some questions and comments from you if we have time, because I'm concerned about where the Republican Party in North Dakota is today. I'm concerned where the Republican Party in general is today. And so I wanted to visit with you a little bit about that. I was elected in 1992. I mean, before you were born, most of you, so sorry about that, but I was elected in 1992. And interestingly, I became the third Republican office holder or statewide office holder in the Capitol. The Democrats had control of the Senate, and the Republicans had a 10-seat majority in the House. So 40 years, the Democrats had controlled the State House, and we were coming in to try to break that lockhold of Democrats on the state of North Dakota. And we were able to do so, and we were able to do so for a couple of reasons. One, the Democrats have been in office too long. They have been 40 years in control. And when they were 40 years in control, they started thinking they were the ones that were smart, that they were the ones that knew best, that they were the ones that were driving the process. And they kind of got away from the people and representing the people in the effort. They also had, because they were there a long time, they had some inter-party strife. They had contests between candidates, and they had anger between people, and they had a nominating convention, and the person who lost the nomination went on and ran the primary and knocked off the nominated Democrat, and all those things were kind of going on. And at the time, we said, there's a cyclical nature to politics. And if you think about it, it's a bell curve. It's that bell curve that takes place is always, you start out, you got going, you gain the trust of the people, you're getting Republican leadership moving on, and you kind of peak out when you started getting there and thinking, this is all about us and not about the people, and then you start tailing off a little bit, and eventually it goes down. And our job in 1992, when we set forth, was to say, we got to stretch out that bell curve as long as we can, because it eventually will turn, and the people of North Dakota will eventually swing that pendulum out of the way, and they'll throw the Republicans out of the office and put in all the Democrats, just like we have done now. So we've been after it for 30 years, haven't quite met their 40-year mark, but we see those kind of crumbling in our party, and the differences of opinion and the difficulties and the kind of angst between elected officials and branches of government. And I guess, and let me give you an example of the echo chamber that happens up in the Capitol. So in the Capitol today, we're arguing about all kinds of people. We're arguing about policy. We're arguing about who's right, who's wrong, who's got a good personality, who doesn't, who knows the numbers, who doesn't, who's a real Republican. I put my credentials up against anybody as a conservative. And yet, there's people up at the Capitol, elected officials, certain sub-splinter groups and sub-caucuses and things, that call me a Republican in name only, because I don't agree necessarily with what they do. Or I do agree, but I agree in presenting it in a different way. So we're into all this personal strife and personal difficulties, and we're really are arguing about what's right or wrong, but we're arguing about who's right and who's wrong, and that's not representing the people. So I wrote a letter to the state party when they were arguing about whether to move the primary to after the move the convention until after the primary. And I said, it kind of, what's going on with the Republican Party today is like the Bison football team. There's 17,000 empty seats in a playoff game for the Bison in Fargo, North Dakota, when they were seeking their ninth national championship. That's crazy, but why does it happen? people get complacent, they're tired, they go like, ho hum, big deal, this is the same thing over and over again, and they don't engage. And that's where our party is today. We've got people that are saying, Republicans, they've been in office, you put anybody up, they're gonna get elected. I don't have to go out there and work. I don't have to go to a convention. I don't have to support somebody. I don't have to be gracious in losing, some kind of a deal because, Republicans don't matter. They're just gonna, the Republicans matter. They're just gonna say Republicans gonna get elected no matter what I do. So I don't engage. We need to engage, and we need your enthusiasm and your energy, and you need to be out there in those districts and encouraging people to come to the meetings and vote and listen to what people have to say and make judgments and set forth people who are carrying the Republican principles that are so near and dear to our hearts into those offices. And you can make a huge bit of difference. You have in the past, and I want to encourage you to do so in the future.